Hello, everyone. For this week's discussion board, I chose to answer the first question, which is discuss the importance of women and key women in Kentucky history. Most people in Kentucky during this period believed that men and women weren't equal and that women were to be subordinate to men. The textbook says, as late as 1914, Senator James, who would eventually vote for women's suffrage, said, I believe woman should remain in her sphere. Her power is greater where it is than it would be in the mire and maelstrom of politics. This was the view of many Kentuckians. The Kentucky Women's Suffrage Association was founded in 1881. This association, along with other women-oriented groups, helped a lot during the women's rights movement. Some of the key women in Kentucky's history are Laura Clay and her three sisters, Mary, Annie, and Sally. Madge Breckinridge also played an important role in the women's rights movement. Laura Clay, the daughter of anti-slavery reformer Cassius M. Clay, was the acknowledged leader of the 19th century fight. Because of the unfair divorce of their parents, Laura and her sisters became strong advocates for women's rights. Laura served as the president of the Kentucky Equal Rights Association, or the KERA, for 24 years. During those years, she worked hard for women's rights. The textbook says, by the 1890s, she also was recognized as the leading Southerner in the National American Women's Suffrage Association. The next key woman in Kentucky's history is Madeline McDowell, or Madge Breckinridge. Madge's husband and sister-in-law supported the women's rights movement, so it was easier for her to begin being active in women's rights. She worked in many of the progressive era movements and made a difference in all of them. The textbook says, in 1912, she became the president of the KERA and vice president of the national group a year later. She used suffrage marches and her speaking ability and humor to gain more support for the women's rights movement. Because of her work and the work of many other women were finally able to vote in Kentucky for the first time in 1920.